Welcome, everybody. We are at day 5 of the Summer Reading Regatta. We're going to have an awesome time tonight. We're already having a great time, and I just turned on the record button. Tonight, we're doing fantasy number 1. We have so many fantasy authors this month that we had to break it up into 2 nights. So if you're a fantasy lover, you're going to love this because we've got fantasy overload this month. Tonight, we've got 3 amazing authors on deck: J.A. Jacob Bullen, Xander Cross, and Nicola Hebron. And I am super, super excited because Nicola is coming all the way from Great Britain, and it's like midnight there. So thank you so much, Nicola, for joining us. We're really super happy to have you with us. I appreciate you being here. Okay. So I'm going to introduce our harbor crew for this evening. We have Christopher Gare, we have Brent Seth, we have Andrew Smith, Deborah Reed, and Kate McNeil. This is my harbor crew, and they help me get through the night without completely falling apart. And if I do fall apart, they pick up the pieces. So thank you, harbor crew, once again for being here and making it super fun. Tonight, as I said, Nicola Hebron is reading. Hi, Nicola, wave, say hi. Hi. J.A. Jacob Bullen, hello. And Xander Cross, how are you doing, sir? Thank you so much for being here, you guys. We're going to have a great night. To start out our evening, Andrew is going to give us a little of the amazement.
Are we there?
Andrew?
We're there.
Yep,
Okay.
There you are.
I'm here.
Can you see it?
Absolutely.
Have I got the right screen?
I can
Yay!
see it now. For those of you that don't know, you're missing out. One of the great things about this event is the Sailor Shore School. And yes, I did say that right. And you should challenge yourself to try to say it right 3 times. These are great workshops. There will be 5 of them during the month. They are only $5 to attend, and you get some wonderful things with that. You get not only to download the video, but you also get a transcript afterwards. And if you miss out and don't get to attend it live, you can get the $10 replay later. But we have some great events coming up just around the corner. 2 more days. That's right, 2 more days. Carolyn Topperman will be doing views port and starboard, images as prompts. And this is going to be a fantastic bit of fun. And as I understand that, I want to make sure I get it this time. This is very family friendly, and you should bring kids, bring friends, bring everybody. Let's have some excitement here. Then on June 10th, what was that?
I said absolutely.
Absolutely. On June 10th, Kate McNeil is going to do all hands on deck. And she's going to explain to us about street and launch teams and how we can get that book out there fast and get all the people that we need reading it right away. Deborah Reed is going to knock it out of the park again with You Had Me at the Hook, the opening lines on June 15th. And she's going to teach us how when somebody picks up our book and reads that first line that we grab them and take them to that next level so that they'll want to keep reading and won't ever want to put that book down. Then on June 27th, I'm going to be there. Deborah's is family friendly as well. Jump into that one with kids and with everybody, and it's going to be very interactive. Then on June 27th, I'm going to do Shots Across the Bow, Weapons in Fiction, and we're going to be talking interactive, lots of weapons, lots of things, and I've got some fun videos that we're going to play with. And then finally, on June 28th, we have Brent Seth and Christopher Gare in Land Ho and how to build worlds and make it just awesome so that, hey, people are there, they understand. It's going to be a lot of fun. There is one more note for mine. It is PG-13. So be very careful with kids because there's going to be a lot of things we're going into. Parents, use good sense and whether they should be there. Super. Join us there. $5, cheap at 10 times the price.
Thank you so much, Andrew. I appreciate that. And yeah, we're going to have a great time. These are really interactive. With the workshops, you're going to be able to be on camera and on mic so you can interact directly with our Sailor Shore School instructors. So make sure you get in on that, register for those now. So let's start out the night. Tonight, Nicola Hebron is going to read for us. And I'm going to show you her here. There you go. Wiccan Romances. This is Amelia's story. This is the first book in a series. I know there are at least 2 in the series because I have them sitting on my desk. We're going to give them away tonight. So, Nicola, thank you very much again for being here. And if you would, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got started writing, and then tell us about the book, please.
Hi, so as Diana said, I am from Britain. It is currently midnight here, so if I yawn, I'm really sorry. It's just late. No one's boring me. We'll just start with that. So yes.
We won't mind at all.
I just wanted to apologise before it happens. Yeah, so yes, I'm from Great Britain. I will admit I do fulfil the British stereotype of that I loved a cup of tea. It's right next to me. You will see it. I'm 30 years old, and yeah, so, and I just sort of
how did you get your start writing?
I was recommended by a colleague. I was having a really tough time at work and I was struggling with anxiety, and my colleague suggested that rather than worrying about everything, write it down, deal with the issues. I didn't really like doing that because that just meant I brought it all home with me. So I went back to a story that I started when I was supposed to be doing some homework when I was 18. And I completely rejigged it.
Okay.
The only thing that stayed is the names and like the very idea. But yeah, it's a story I started when I was 18, and it's the sort of thing I wanted to read because when I was 18, Twilight was just at its peak. So I wanted to do fantasy that way. So yes.
Awesome. Can you give us a little bit of the backstory for the book, and then when you're ready, you may take the helm and begin reading.
Yes. So my book follows my series follows 4 quadruplets: Amelia, Sam, Charlie, and Ben. Each of them will have a book. Amelia and Sam are the only ones that are out at the minute, but the other 2 are in editing, various stages. So I won't tell you how they're going because no one needs to know that. That's a sad. No, so yeah, so I just I wanted to jump in sort of as they sort of first find out about their powers. So they're 17 when the book first starts. They only inherited their powers a couple of weeks ago. So I sort of wanted to go through all like the silly things that you do when you first find out stuff, all the little accidents. I wanted to keep it really light-hearted because I just thought Twilight was so serious that I wanted mine to be fun. So there is a love story all the way through it, all the way through all 4, which I really enjoyed writing. But yeah, most of it was just, I wanted it to be about the family really, and how they all sort of jumped in together. So yeah.
Awesome. If you're ready, could you read us a little bit, please?
Yes, so this is from just a little way into the first chapter. It's set in one of their first magic lessons, so it's just how they're learning their powers. So they're with their dad, who's the person who's got to teach them how to do it all, which I do pity the dad a lot, all the way through the series. Right, let's get started with today's lesson. Leah adjusted her position in the chair so she was sitting with one leg crossed over the other and pulled out a notepad, which she then balanced on one knee to make some notes on what her dad was telling them. After an hour of listening to an explanation on how telekinesis worked and the best way to control their emotions, they were allowed to practice their powers. In the centre of the table was a plain coffee mug, and each of them had to try and move it towards them and then back to the centre again. "I'm going to knock this out of the park," Sam announced as he got up to stand by the table. Sam squinted his eyes at the mug, and sure enough, it began to move towards him. "Yes," he shouted, which caused the mug to pick up speed and crash into the floor. Sam, what have we just talked about? When you get over enthusiastic about something, it causes you to lose control of your powers. All right, Ben, your turn, David sighed. Ben stood up and again squinted at the mug. Somehow, Ben managed to get the mug to do exactly what was needed. Excellent, David said, nodding to Ben. Amelia, would you like to have a go next? He asked his daughter, who was no longer paying attention to the class and was doodling a notebook she had been using. I can try. Leah got to her feet and walked slowly to the table. She squinted her eyes like her brothers had. However, the mug did not move. Why don't you try using your hands? When your mum startled you the other day, she said that you waved your hands and then all the books and papers on your desk went flying. Why would my powers be different to Ben and Sam, though? Because you're different, smirked Sam, trying to wind his sister up. As I was explaining earlier, telekinesis can be accessed in two ways, either by your eyes or by your hands. Yours might be controlled through your hands, David explained. Leah sighed but lifted her hands up regardless. She focused on the mug and gestured that it should come towards her. Sure enough, the mug did begin to move in her direction. Unfortunately, at that moment, Charlie sneezed, causing Leah to jump and send the mug flying into the wall. Oh no, Charlie exclaimed, as Sam and Ben dissolved into laughter at their siblings' misfortune. Well, this proves my point about your powers being linked to things that make you jump, Amelia. Have a seat and we'll try again, David stated, going to collect another mug and pick up the shards from one that had just been broken. Charlie slumped in his seat and looked down at the ground, but Leah still patted him on the shoulder as she walked the long way back to her seat. Don't worry, Charlie, it's not your fault, she said as she passed him. It's not that I'm worried about. Charlie snarled into his lap, his sister's natural empathy picking up on his low mood. Dad, I'm not taking part in this. This whole thing is a sham and I will not be part of it. This is a magic lesson, Charles, and you will learn to control your powers. No, Charlie snapped before shoving himself out of the chair and stomping out of the room. Okay, Ben, you are dismissed. Sam, Amelia, could you have another couple of goes at trying to move a mug? I will be back shortly. Leah stood up after her father left the room, but rather than heading over to the table, she wandered over to the bookcases that had been capturing her attention over the last few weeks. The shelves were filled with books that were written through the centuries and covered a wide variety of topics and subjects, including spells, potions, and magical creatures. Leah wandered along the shelves, staring at the books, wondering how she could not have known they were there until a few weeks ago. Hey, Leah, you're supposed to be practicing this whole telekinesis thing. You don't want to get caught looking at the books. Dad will kill you, Ben advised as he left the room. Sighing wistfully, Leah turned back to the table where Sam had placed two new mugs and was trying hard to concentrate on getting his to move. Following her brother's lead, Leah took her place at the opposite end of the table and raised her arms. The mug began to move as she gestured for it, so she smiled and kept her arm moving until slowly the mug made the journey, coming to rest in front of her. In an effort to get the mug to move faster on its return journey, she flung her hand out. However, she accidentally caught the edge of the table and pulled everything off. Leah! Sam yelled, frustrated that his efforts had once again been disrupted. Sorry, forget it. What is happening in here? David asked as he re-entered the garage. I was trying to get the mug to move a bit faster, but my hand got stuck in the tablecloth and, well, Leah trailed off, gesturing to the mess at her feet. You know what? Let's just call this lesson a day, David said, thinking to himself that at least some progress had been made.
Well done. Thank you so very much. I'm so excited to have you with us. I'm really looking forward to reading these books. I think they're going to be a lot of fun. We have a question already from Emma in the chat, and she says, what inspires you to write and what keeps you writing?
So what inspired these was, obviously I was 18 when the series first came into my head. I was watching a lot of Wizards of Waverly Place and Sabrina the Teenage Witch and Charmed, and that's sort of where I got it from. I wanted to incorporate all the best bits of those shows into something that you could read. So
excellent. Thank you. Kate, you said you had a question as well?
I have multiple questions. But I'm going to throw it back
Okay.
to Emma because she shared one of my questions. What kind of tea are you drinking? Because I'm not a coffee drinker, and so yes, I want to know. Anna and I both want to know what kind of tea are you drinking right now?
So because it's midnight, I'm actually drinking decaf tea on this one as a one-off, just because I don't exactly want to be up till 3-4 in the morning.
Good call.
But as a family, we drink Twinings tea. I don't know if it's just a British brand, but we use a variety of theirs just because they make them of different strengths, so we can all have a favourite. There's me, my mum and my dad all live here at the minute, so that's why. So Twinings is our go-to.
I'm pretty sure we can get that
We have them here.
Like, yeah, I
We
was
got
going to
it.
say, I'm pretty sure we can get that here. I know that we don't do tea quite as well as you all do, but yes, we can get it here. So if you ever want to come over and visit, we can
I
accommodate.
have come over quite a bit. I used to come over quite a bit.
Oh,
Awesome.
So my dad works for Lockheed Martin, so we have come over a bit.
were you over on
Very
the
cool.
West Coast?
God, I don't.
Like
No, I think we've
over in
mainly
Seattle, or where was it?
we've done. So I've done Florida. Obviously, if you're a tourist, you go to Florida. And I've done New York, and we've also done California and Nevada. But I know while I was at university, my family went to Seattle and Chicago and stuff. So they've done a bit more. I stopped traveling a bit before they did. And obviously we've
That's fantastic.
If you come back
Hey,
over,
you said
please
you had
feel
more
free.
questions?
I do. All
You
right.
said you
so
had more
the first
questions?
the first one being, so you mentioned that, I think you said you were 18 when Twilight came out. So one of the things that I always say about Twilight and Stephanie Meyer, was she the greatest author? But I will always defend her in terms of being a great storyteller, in terms of creating this universe and which, like Harry Potter, got a lot of people to read, a lot of younger people to read. What did you do, or what was your inspiration, or what was your favorite thing about just world building and storytelling?
I wanted to keep mine I obviously grew up Harry Potter, then Twilight. I did it all as a child, or teenager and child. I did it all, and I loved Harry Potter. But I not ashamed of that at all.
No.
What I really liked about Twilight and what I wanted for mine was the fact that it was set in the real world. I didn't think I could build a world very effectively that was not here. So whilst I live in the southeast of England, I always feel I should live in the northeast. I love it up there. I love Yorkshire and Durham. They're just so picturesque. So I use these as a chance to go and live there for a little bit, and I got to.
Very cool. We have two of the books that we're giving away tonight. I just want to show them on screen because I know that it's late over there and you might be jumping out soon. So the first book is Amelia's story.
Yeah.
And then the second book is Sam's story. And we're giving away 2 sets of these tonight. How many more books are in this series, and when do you expect book number 3 to come out?
There are definitely 4 I want to do. I have done each of the quadruplet story. I haven't decided if I want to pick it up again. I'm still umming and ahhing with what I'd want to do with them. But there's 4 quadruplets. Ben and Charlie both have a story. Charlie's story should be.
And so I'm sorry, go ahead.
The Charlie story should be out end of this year, beginning of next.
Okay.
So they are coming.
Awesome.
They're just.
So do you have to read the books in your series in order, or can you read them out of order?
You can read them out of order. I always find it helpful because obviously little bits cross over, but I also say you can read them out of order. It's nothing particularly.
Fantastic. Kate, are there any other questions in the chat that I may have missed?
Let's see. Yes, Emma wants to know, what platform do you publish on?
Amazon. I use Amazon. But you can also get them on my website, which is NicolaHebron.Author.com.
Great. Awesome. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight. I'm really grateful that you've joined our community And we're going to try and do this again in October. So we'd love to have you come back if you can. And then again, stay as long as you are able tonight, but we understand completely if you want to go to bed. I certainly would. So thanks again for your reading.
I want to hear the readings from the other books. I'm definitely going to stay up for that, but then I might have to dash off to bed.
Okay, no problem. Thanks again. I'm going to show everybody the Nicola's book on it again. This is Wiccan Romances, Amelia's Story. And again, we're going to be giving this away tonight. So thank you, Nicola, for your generosity in donating 4 books tonight. We really appreciate it.
No problem.
Also, so next we're going to have Jacob read. Jacob writes under J.A. Bullen, and he's one of my fantasy favorites. I've been working with Jacob as an editor for a little while now, and before I met Jacob, I was not a tremendous fantasy fan. And then I got hooked on his book Unbound, and I said, oh my gosh, please give me more. And he did, and oh my gosh. And again, this is another night where I get to gush because I'm madly in love with Jacob's work, and it's wonderful. Thank you, Jacob, for being here tonight. I'm really grateful. Thank you.
Thank you for having me again.
So for those of us who are brand new to your work, can you give us a little background? I know you write multiple series in a couple different genres. Can you give us some background on what you write? And I know it's going to be rattling because I think there's like, what, 8 now? So if you can give us the titles and what genre they're in after you tell us about your background, I'd love that.
Yes. I stick mostly with epic fantasy or dark fantasy. My Legends of Valoria series, I have my props right here ready to go.
Yay.
My Legends of Valoria series is going to be a little more lighthearted epic fantasy fiction. I do have some urban supernatural thriller. That'd be my Blood in the Rain series. Unbound is going to be a Viking dark fantasy. And then Beyond the Amaranthine Veil, it's the Tales of Anon series, is a bit of a Renaissance-based.
Excellent. Fantastic. Okay. Can you give us a little setup for the Brothers Strife, which you're going to read tonight? And then when you're ready, pretty please go into your reading.
Okay. Yes, the Brothers Strife is actually part 2 in the Tales of Anon series. And just like in our real lives, very much the decisions that we make as adults, political decisions, whatever it may be, very much affects our children and the generation after. So it's kind of the way I tell the Tales of Anon. Each book takes place from a different perspective, where the first book in the series takes place from Tristan. The second book is about his sons, Galen and Gabriel, as they're going to school. And it keeps panning back and forth while following a chronological timeline. So I do have my snippet here of the Brothers Strife.
Fantastic. This is a brand new release, by the way. We just had Jacob's launch party this month. It's so much fun, and I love this book, and I love the series, and I'm really looking forward to the next one. Like I said, I was not a fantasy fan before I met Jacob, so I encourage all of you to check out his books because they are different and unique and unusual, and I'm gushing again. Go ahead, Jacob, read.
Thank you. Resting off to the far side of the arena, the hearthfire blade remained stabbed into the collection of stones. Approaching the rusted sword, Xerania removed a handful of herbs from her pocket. Smiling to Gale, she sprinkled the compound over the sword. As the herbs fell to the ground, they crackled with flame. A faint gleam of light rose off the blade as it consumed the fuel, setting off the smell of incense. The magic in the blade is still alive? Gale asked, turning his head towards the smiling gnome. It is, she answered, nodding her head. Now touch it. Eyes wide, he gawked at Xerania. Won't it burn me? He asked fearfully. What? She asked absently, eyes greedy with a thirst for knowledge and exploration as she stared at the artifact. The blade. Won't it burn me if I touch it? The hairs on the back of his neck prickled as he realized an audience of less gullible students was amassing. Maybe. Touch it. Again, he stared at the teacher and glanced at the spectators, who pretended not to notice him. Muttering a silent prayer for his hands, he reached out shakily. Extending a single finger, he gently brushed the hilt of the sword, which responded with the subtlest of vibrations. It's going to take more than a finger, Xerania whispered. He glanced back again, noticing the battle training had ceased. No fewer than a dozen battle pairs quickly turned away, pretending they were only stretching. Closing his eyes, he drew in a deep breath. Releasing it with a heavy sigh, Gale grasped the hilt. A small crackle of flame lit the blade as it fed upon the surrounding stones and earth. He stared in awe at the sword, feeling it slowly draw upon his energy. It pulsed with a gentle heartbeat until he released his hold and the gentle embers went out. Excellent work, young Strife, Xerania clapped and cheered excitedly. I think you'll make an exemplary assistant. Professor's pet mongrel, more like, Reynald sneered from behind them. I bet anyone could use that rusted piece of garbage if an unwashed beast such as yourself can. From a distance, Professor Lang stood alongside several of the other students in the Nobles class. Give it a try if you like, Xerania smiled, motioning towards the blade with her right hand. I will, with or without your permission, he grumbled, shoving Gale in the chest. Out of my way, mongrel, he yelled, stepping in front of the blade. There's no way a filthy-blooded false noble can do this. Grasping onto the handle, Reynald gave the blade a pull. Just as had been the case with Gale, the blade hummed gently. Reynald smiled as the sword continued to glow in his hand, thrumming with a lifelike pulse. As his grip on the blade exceeded the time Gale had held it, the boy's triumphant look grew. You see, everyone, it was just a fluke. The blade is barely hot at all, he cheered, pulling the blade. It resisted his pull, remaining firmly planted in the soil. Straining against the sword, beads of sweat began running down his brow. A moment later, a panicked expression crossed his face before the sword burst into flame. Reynald screamed in pain, lurching backwards as his hand was seared. Stumbling back, he fell to the ground, screaming as he clutched his hand. Fearing his death, he quickly attracted a large crowd. No need to fuss so, Mr. Reynald, Xerania said calmly, waving off the boy's cries of pain. I did not know of anyone who perished from such a small mana burn. Though she had stood opposite the arena, Lang was the first to the young man's side. I do wish you wouldn't encourage students to touch that damned relic, she growled. I would have hoped your failure would have served warning enough. Removing her left hand from within her robes, Gale saw the multiple layers of bandages on Xerania's hand. Progress is built on the failures of those before, she smiled, holding her uninjured hand to Gale. Lang, producing an ointment, smeared it on Reynald's hand. Wrapping the wound, she turned her attention back to the gnome. Don't try to make him touch it too, she growled, turning her head to the still howling boy's entourage. Get this boy to the healing ward, she barked. As the band scurried away, Professor Lang issued one final warning before returning to her class. All right then, back to the matter at hand, the gnome said excitedly. Seeing as the sword doesn't burn you, let's have some fun. Rubbing her hands together, she pored over the artifact once more. How do you know it won't burn me? Reynald held it longer than I did, and he wasn't burned at first. Was it hot when you first touched it? Gale considered the question before answering. No, it was cool to the touch. Pink eyebrows raised as the instructor smiled. Touch it, she whispered again. I've heard the rumors the same as everyone else. More than anything, you need to start a name for yourself now. Researching long dormant relics would not be a bad place to start, Warden. The last comment was spoken so softly, Gale barely heard it. How do you know about that? He asked worriedly. Professor Tarkin told me not to tell anyone. Waving off the boy's concerns, Xerania smiled. I'm not going to tell anyone. It's just how I knew you'd be a good fit is all. You know, seeing as the last person to hold that weapon was also one. Who were the wardens? He asked. Who knows? Xerania responded, shrugging her shoulders. You find the mention of a few here and there in history books, both good and bad, however. The only times I have seen them mentioned are during times of major change. Gale allowed those words to sink in carefully. At the same time, he considered a career as an artificer. He often heard stories of people exploring the ruins of the old world. He knew of one such ruin beneath Lothrin, which was still far from explored. I would like to learn more, he said softly. If only you can trust me. That's what I got.
Yay! Thank you so much. I love this story. It's so much fun. Okay, since I'm a big fat gush tonight, I'm going to open up the room for other people to ask questions. So, Harbor Crew, do you have any questions for Jacob tonight?
There's a question. It's not specifically for Jacob, but I think it's a great question to go ahead and answer. The books in the store, the one that I keep putting the link to, they are not signed by the authors, correct? Diana, sorry.
It depends on how you connect with the author. Everything in our Harbor store connect directly with the author. So depending on how you purchase is if the author is able to sign it for you or not. So that's how that works.
But in the hardware store also includes contact information for all of us. So if somebody buys an unsigned copy and wants a signature, they can reach out to us and we can work something out.
Absolutely. So Kate, back to Jacob's amazing book.
So one of the things that I love just even about just the reading tonight were those little bites of humor, which weren't over the top, but they were just so perfectly placed. Is that intentional? Is that something that just flows out of you as you're writing and you look back and you're like, hey, I am pretty funny? Because it was. How do you do that?
I come from a very sarcastic family, and she's not in the chat tonight to dog on me, but Christian would agree that I tend to be quite sarcastic, and that easily flows into my writing. It's just natural.
Okay, so that must just be a family thing because you've never been sarcastic with me.
You just didn't pick up on it.
Yeah, probably not.
I'm curious about
Anybody else? Go ahead, Andrew.
I'm curious about your inspiration. I mean, I saw a lot of different things as you were reading, everything from the Arthurian sword in the stone style to at least a dozen other fantasy books that I've read. I mean, did this all come from an amazing dream? Were you inspired by other things, or how does is it all just meshed together? What do you think?
I mean, I am inspired by several different things. I can't pinpoint anything in particular for the Brothers Strife. I don't know, but I mean, you mentioned, Tales of King Arthur and that legend. I always loved that legend as a child. It's a great story, even with the countless different versions of it that there are out there. But
well, I liked it, and I'm going to have to read it so that I can gush like Diana does. So it'll be fun.
Well, I got to tell you, one of the reasons that I'm gushing so much about Jacob is not only do I love his writing style. I've worked with him now in an editorial capacity on 2 different series. Not only do I love the way he writes, but he's a dream author because he makes like this many mistakes. So I'm madly in love. So Brent, do you see any other questions in the chat?
Yeah, Chelsea asks, Jacob, what kind of research do you do for your books? And I would like to hear from Nicola and Xander on that too.
well, like everybody else, I read a lot. I pay attention to what's going on around me. A lot of my interactions and dialogue between my characters is actually just pretty much from observing people around me. I'm not a very social person, but I always listen and I always try to take in and grow from the things that I learn through others.
Absolutely. Nicola, what about you? Your research?
I did quite a lot. I spoke to a few Wiccans actually, particularly for the 3rd book, so I got some bits right because I really didn't want to insult people. And I spent a lot of time going through, asking questions, and I'm a nightmare on people's DMs. Whatever you can think of. If I've seen something, I'm like, excuse me.
Pardon me. Xander, we haven't got you into your book yet. So can you hold and answer that question when we do your reading? Awesome. Thank you, sir. I'll remember. It's okay. Okay, Jacob, Iris wants to know, what was the easiest character for you to write?
Well, you might not grab it from the context of the reading, but I really enjoyed writing Gale and Renoa. They were both very easy for me to write. Renoa is a bit of a shut-in that begins to make sense as the story goes on, and as a fellow, I guess, antisocial person, I related very well to her. But I always shared that sense of adventure and wonder that Gale has. I mean, I was always one to be out enjoying the world, never sitting still. I had 3 times I came home as a kid, and otherwise you didn't see me. So it's kind of a tie between those two.
Okay, awesome. Hi, Emma. Welcome tonight, dear. I'm glad you could be with us. Okay, so let's move on because we're running short on time. Because, you know, time runs away from me with like so much fun. So this is Jacob's book, The Brothers Strife. Really fun, really cool. You're going to love this. What I love best is that you can read both books in this series out of order if you wanted to, because they do cross over. So feel free to read them one before the other. You're gonna, so I guess what I'm saying is, if you win the book tonight, don't feel like you have to read the other one first. Just dive into this one and then read the other one, because you're gonna see they layer, which is the other thing I love about Jacob's writing, is that he layers stuff. So it's very, very cool. Thank you very much, Jacob, for sharing tonight and for being with us, and for always being so supportive of our community. You're gonna see Jacob just went crazy with his prize box offering tonight. You'll see that in just a few minutes. So thank you, Jacob. I really appreciate all your support for us and our community. Xander, how are you over there, sir?
All right, I'm hanging.
Tonight, good. Tonight we're going to hear from Xander. Let me show you his. There it is. The Origin of the White Wind. This is, again, here's what I love about this community. I have yet to find a book that our independent writers have written that I have not enjoyed. Some I enjoy more than others, but there are some that I just lose my mind over. And I just finished Xander's book a few days ago, and I just really loved it. It's one of these books that I just fell into, and I had a hard time pushing myself to get out of it. I wanted it to go on and on and on. And as it turns out, Xander's writing a series of like, what, 20 books?
This one will be 20
right?
books.
Yeah, so I get to let it go on and on because you're going to write more, which makes me deliriously happy. So if you could just give us a little bit of your background and set up the book for us, I would appreciate that.
I'm kind of going to have to. The Origin of the White Wind is the story of a Japanese demon, which is called a yokai. And originally he was not a demon, he was an angelic sort of character. He was a divine messenger of the Kami Inari, which is a Japanese god / goddess. Basically, this Kami can go either way. It's very gender fluid, so, you know. But this character ended up, when we start out this book, he has amnesia. He doesn't know how he got here. He doesn't know pretty much anything. So we have to explore the world with him. And I did a really interesting twist. He starts out as a really good guy, and he falls from grace and becomes a really bad guy. And where Diana's left off, he hasn't gone all the way yet. We're going to go further down that rabbit hole. He is going to get way more evil before we start to redeem him up through a very long apocalypse. So we're going to spend 10 books in the dystopia.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Xander, but here's the really cool thing about how he did this. He wrote his hero character arc in the reverse way that they tell us to do it in creative writing class. They're supposed to get better as the character proceeds through the story, and he degrades as the character, and you still love him, and you want him to be successful and wonderful. So, okay, I'm gushing again. Go ahead, Xander, if you could read us a little bit, and then I'll let everybody else ask questions.
All right. Well, I am going to go about the middle-ish. So, because I wanted to do something that was a little more, I always like to do something different for each one of these. And so I will say that there is maybe a slight PG-13ish, not quite, maybe PG scene. It was one of my more, as Dinah would tell you, one of my more bland deaths in this book. They get pretty, this is like Kung Fu Hustle, honestly. I mean, meets Johnny Mnemonic, meets Demon City. So there you go. And by the way, the main character, this is a fox demon called a kitsune, or a yako, because he's a bad one. So 2 hours later, Taro, Juro, and I crept through the garden that surrounded the manse in the still of night. Our assignment was simple: break in, kill as many as we could, grab the gold, and get the hell out. We had to be careful of the shadows, since they would be protected and guarded. There was no way other yokai were not lurking around, or even lion dogs, something to guard against supernatural visitors. And yet, there was no whiff of any such thing. Not even a talisman barred our way. Instinctively, I really did not like it, but a job was a job, and no one was backing out. The yard was quite beautiful, with carefully tended trees, shrubbery, and little stone paths. The maples had not turned color yet, and they rustled in the wind of that balmy September night. It was picture perfect, that garden. I remember it to this day. I kept expecting to be jumped by guards or yokai outside, but there was nothing but moonlight and breezes. It was a gorgeous night, too, the kind made for running in fields beneath the moon. The wind was up, and so was my blood. The mansion we stole into is like stepping across the threshold of time. Windows on all floors overlooked the exterior garden under the pale blue moonlight. Tree shadows writhed in the wind across tatami floors and painted screens. It was silent and warm inside. Yes, I remember it very well. We bypassed the outer security and came across our first guard upon entering. He was looking out one of the windows with a bored expression right upon his face. He jumped when he saw my kitsune-masked visage in the reflection of the glass. He turned just as I pushed my katana into his torso. Blood spilled from his mouth, then he sagged. He slid from my blade onto the floor. The three of us fanned out, moving silently. Taro went to the left, Juro to the right. I took dead center. Half a minute later, I heard a sharp crack and a soft thump. Another guard down, Juro's doing. I kept expecting to be stopped by an armored guard at any moment. And here I was in a white kimono and kitsune no men, long hair unbound, hand gripping my bloody katana. Surely there had to be more than a couple of paltry guards on duty. But for all I could tell with my heightened senses, the mansion was otherwise abandoned, save for that smell. Brimstone and musk. That was pure dragon. I knew from Yoda's scent. I told myself it was because Hirashi's hoard was here. If he slept upon it, and recently, surely it might have a scent. But if that were so, it was stronger than I would have guessed. I frowned. I had that spine-tingling feeling like I was walking into a trap. My gut fluttered, adrenaline surging. The lack of guards only increased my nervousness. I thought about seeking out Taro or Juro, but no, I did not wish to appear weak. The damn monkey demon would rag on me for getting squeamish. Besides, we were sent. You did not back out of any mission a dragon put you to. Not ever. Death before desertion and dishonor. To fail was to die. Yoda said do, so we did, and that was the end of it. Trap or no trap, the only way out was through. Just as I was about to give up and turn back anyway, there it was. Straight ahead of me, too close to simply walk away from. Hirashi's cache. Set beside the ceremonial tea room was a short hall that led to an earthen vault for treasure, traditionally called a dozo or kura. Most Japanese homes had originally been built of wood, and fire in the olden days was always a disaster waiting to happen. The dozo was designed to protect a family's material wealth. This one was made to withstand everything short of a nuclear attack. I crept forward warily and entered the dragon's lair. Coins from multiple eras of Edo and beyond proliferated, as well as statuary, fine art, precious gems, and all manner of such gleaming magnificence. It was truly a dragon's hoard. I walked in starstruck by the sheer amount of golden opulence before me. It was staggering and well lit. Oh, crap. I knew at once I did not want to be here. There was no reason to keep the rest of the house dark and leave the bright lights in this chamber. Damn it, where was Taro anyway? He was supposed to catch up to me by now. On cue, I heard the roar of the great bear from somewhere above on the second floor. He had transformed. The walls shook. Well, that isn't good, I thought banally. Whatever was happening, as soon as I heard Judo's explosive ball grenades on the opposite side of the mats, I knew we were hosed. Son of a! I spun around, ready to run to their aid. when a steel-heavy door dropped across the entrance of the dozer. There were no windows down here and no other exit. This was a vault. I was trapped. Crap, I muttered savagely. Well, well, well. His deep voice boomed in the echo of that room. There stood a magnificent tall man with long black hair and mustachios down past his knees, his skin hued with a coppery cast, an attractive creature with the weight of great age in his manner. He wore vermilion robes, 5-clawed dragons patterned across the outer garment in golden thread. His luminescent gold reptilian eyes gave him away as easily as his presence and his power. The dragon Hirashi was resplendent and arrogant, as only an ancient dragon could be. To find out what happens, you gotta find out.
Oh my gosh, this is so great, so awesome. I love that scene. I love your reading style. It's spectacular. Christopher, do you see any questions in the chat for me that I may have missed?
Well, first of all, I'm going to interrupt. Xander, there's a rumor going by on the right side of my screen that says you have a beautiful cosplay of your character.
Yes, I do.
Oh, which came first, the costume or the character?
Believe it or not, kind of the costume. There's a whole story about that. Unfortunately, it's really long. But basically, I got into an image that actually gave me this character. The character was mine, but I saw this image and I fell in love with it. And I ended up getting into the anime for it. And my spouse gave me the cosplay and kind of got me out of cosplay retirement because I'm almost 50. So I thought, back then I was in my mid-40s. I'm thinking, this is ridiculous coming out of cosplay now, but what the heck? I can tape my face up and all that. I'll do it. And I did. And but before I did the full thing, by Christmas of that year, I was like, well, what if I got to be this creature? What if I really got my Christmas wish and I actually could be a white kitsune? Because I would really love to just be this thing. It would be fantastic. And then I kind of thought, well, what would happen? This is an immortal creature. What happens 100 years from now? What happens 1,000 years from now? Think about the world, because back then Trump had just gotten elected. What is the world going to be like based on what you can see ahead of you if this is the path we're taking? And this is what came out of it. So
very cool. I want to show you, in case you guys are curious again, I want to show you this. Look in here at Xander's life ring, you can see a little bit of what he looks like in cosplay. Very, very, very cool. And if you want to follow him on Facebook, you'll see more amazing, incredible pictures. Are you on Instagram as well, Xander?
I am on Instagram, and I have a gallery on my website.
Awesome, awesome. So
my website is like
before I let you go, can you go back and answer that question about your research? Because one of the cool things I love that you did with this book is you put a vocabulary glossary in the back, so that those of us who don't understand Japanese folklore and culture would catch some of the words. So I'm wondering if you could answer that question about research. Where did you do? I mean, I know you're history major, which is awesome. So did you get your research from that education, or did you go outside of your major education to get the research?
I watch YouTube every morning. In fact, what's going on with China right now is really important to where I am going with this book and what's happening in this particular book 3. So I watch, like, as soon as I wake up, I'm on my phone because I can't go back to sleep. I never can. So I watch 4 hours every morning of what's going on from all of these different political angles, from what is the line that they're promoting over there, all the way through to people who are showing you what's going on and getting it out via VPN. It is crazy, and it's serious. And so there is a lot going on. Like my whole life right now is nothing but watching the news. It's, and so there's a lot going on.
Did you get any of this background by reading manga, or did it all come from real life research?
A lot of, the manga's a part of it, and anime is a part of it, obviously. I've always loved that stuff, and I've always loved Japanese. I love folklore of all kinds. I love foxes of every kind. It's just my thing, and there's like about 20 different characters. And every time people see him, they're like, is that Inuyasha? And I'm like, no, that's a dog demon. He's an Inugami. He is not, Kitsune for one thing, but he has a typical look that is just very, there's about 20 different characters that look like him. It's just that this is my particular take on him. And I even gave him a reason for having that haircut. So.
Very good.
Yeah, I love that. Super awesome. Okay, any last questions for Xander before we move on? Andrew.
Just real quick, because I'm overly fascinated with dragons. Did you stay close to the more Japanese, Chinese, or the dozens of other?
All right, so what we need to understand real quick about this series is that imagine a world in which plagues have, successive plagues have come. We've continued to pollute. Everything is crappy. And basically, you think about these megacities like Shenzhen and Tokyo, and just all over Asia, like whether it's China or it's Singapore or all these different places. Imagine, we already know that these places are megacities. And if you look at footage of them right now, they look like they're 100 years in the future. These places, if you can imagine, if all these other people had gone through successive plagues, they needed places to work, these cities pulled them in. So now these are the only places you can really successfully live unless you want to be in very polluted, nasty, quarantine zone places. And these places are like their own city states now. They're encamped, they're entrenched, they have their own racial lines and ties going inside them. And they are all at war. Each one has its own dragon that rules it. It has since ancient times. Originally, they had another dragon ahead of them named King Long. He is the Western dragon of the sky. He's in the Chinese zodiac. They got rid of him. They decided they were going to rule their own around about 1600 Tokugawa era is when they managed to oust King Long, and they managed to successfully set up their own thing. And that was going real good, except that they were getting real corrupt and being very greedy like dragons like to do, because let's face it, they like gold and they like hoards and stuff. So they got corrupt. And this is the story of how all these dragons are eventually going to get brought down by one little fox. and he is considered a horrible villain for it, even though these things have become so corrupt that our stories, it's going to be a whole history, and it's just about any kind of apocalypse you can imagine we're going to go through, from Mad Max all the way to how society is going to rebuild itself slowly up until we get to a certain point.
This book is an amazing book, and it's a great introduction to what I know will be an incredible series. Thank you very much, Xander, for joining us tonight. Thank you for your read. You're an awesome storyteller, and we all really appreciate you being here. So now I want to remind everybody of the books that we heard from tonight, and then we're going to so tonight, Xander read from The Origin of the White Wind, which is, oh my gosh. Okay. So Jacob read from The Brothers Strife. This is just a night of gushing for me. And then Nicola started out the evening tonight by reading Amelia's story. Thank you, everyone, for sharing your stories with us. Thank you, Nicola, for staying awake so late. We appreciate it. Let's give away from some fun stuff. What do you say, guys? Let's do this thing. Tonight, we are going to give away a bunch of books because the authors are super, super generous. As I said, we're going to give away 2 sets of Nicola's books. Then we are going to give away a set of Xander's 2 books, book 1 and book 1 and book 2. There we go. And then we are also going to give away a copy of Brothers Strife tonight as well. So if you haven't seen it yet before, we do a wacky thing called the Spinning Wheel of Happiness. Why? Well, because it just simply makes me happy. So I have a good time, and I'm 6. So this is why we do this. So the first prize we're going to give away tonight will be a set of the Wiccan Romances by Nicola. Please tell me you can see the Spinning Wheel of Silliness. Yes?
Yes,
Yes,
we
yes.
see it.
Okay, awesome. All right, here we go. Spinning. Okay, good. Spinning wheel. don't know, we give away books every night, and everybody gets an opportunity who comes every night to give away books. So you could win multiple times throughout the month, which, you know, we all love. Kate, you can hear the music, right? Yes? That's you.
Yes.
Okay, here we
Thank
go.
you.
Second spin. Second spin, here we go. Hooray, Angela! You've won a copy of Nicola's books. 2 of them. Good job. Okay, here we go. These are for, this spin will be for Xander's set of books. Here we go. Hooray, Carol! You're gonna love these stories, Carol. Okay, and now the final spin will be for Jacob's book, Brothers Strife. Here we go. Hooray! Holly, you won the Brothers Strife. Super, super fun. This is, I love giving away gifts. So much fun. It's like Christmas. It's so wonderful. Okay, so now we have to do all the housekeeping insanity stuff, all the stuff you need to know about how to get your prizes, plus all the amazing extra prizes we've got. So let me share that screen with you again so you can see that. There we go. Okay, if you want a book tonight, you need to send me an email by midnight tonight. My email is my to-do list. So if I don't see it when I wake up in the morning, it's not gonna get done. So send me an email tonight with your mailing address in it. Send it to diana@pagespromotions.com to claim your prize. Prizes not claimed in the email will be added back into the rotation for a future giveaway. So make sure you get those emails in tonight, because I'm trying to get to the post office every day instead of waiting it to stack up. So help me help you. Next, Christopher, can you please tell us about the Life Raft Lottery? You have to turn your mic on, my dear.
Yes, the mic would be
There you
helpful.
go.
Escaping from the Isle of Mediocrity. In every book, you are going to have a little lottery card. You're going to want to scratch that card as soon as you get the book and see if you are a winner or not a winner. And if you are a winner, you're going to get a fantabulous bonus prize.
And there are a bunch of bonus prizes that we're giving away. They're all there on the screen, and I've also posted them on the Facebook page. These prizes are provided by our super amazing, astounding, generous captains at the Helm. All of these authors are just amazing at the stuff they're giving us to give away, and I'm tremendously grateful. Next, should you happen to get a winning Life Raft lottery ticket, Deborah, tell them what they have to do.
Well, you have to, I need my screen. Thank you. I need my screen with the words. No, but you need to perform this poem that you will see on the screen dramatically and in costume. And then you have to post a video of your performance to the Pages Promotions Festival Facebook page. If you need inspiration, Andrew was kind enough to create pretty much an entire movie for all of us so that we could hear this beautiful poem and also be entertained as well. And he did a fantastic job. So honestly, he set the bar pretty high. So definitely we need costume, we need dramatic role play, and I will read the poem for you, which Diana wrote. I'm not going to do as well as Andrew, so sorry.
I'll help.
No. Out of my window looking in the night, I can see the sailboat's flickering light. Starboard shines green and port is glowing red. I can see the sailboats straight ahead. Sailboats are there, treasures in your holds, many trunks filled with silver and gold. Sailboats are there, captains at your helm, bringing books for readers of our town.
Awesome. Well done, Deborah.
I can do better.
I can do it.
Maybe Emma, maybe you can do it for us tomorrow night. Here's the deal. Here's the deal. You have to perform this, take the video, put it on our Facebook page, and then the membership of our Facebook page will vote on the favorite videos to win randomly selected prizes. We're giving away 5 of those. So super, super fun, super cool. We're having a great time. So get those up there. Make sure, as Christopher will warn you, make sure to check your book for that prize winning ticket so that you can go, Christopher.
Well,
I didn't check
No?
my books, and I had to put a little apology video up because of it. So Andrew made out pretty well, though.
well,
Yeah,
and it's
so
also,
make sure that you check.
it's also first come, first serve on the prizes, right,
Go ahead.
Diana? So like you want to check right away and post a picture of you with your lottery ticket or email it to Diana right away to make sure that you do get one of the prizes.
Yep. The lottery tickets are first come, first serve. The Facebook or the super bonus prizes our Facebook members will vote on. And then Andrew, being the man he is, has to always set the bar way super duper high for all of us. He created the ultimate performance prize pack. Andrew, will you tell us about this, pretty please?
Sure, I will. I just thought that somebody who did a fantastic job could face their fear and put their video up and face their fear a little bit more. The ultimate performance, that person will win an astounding prize. We're going to start with facing fear with a copy of A Slice of Fear by Little Me. Then take it to the next level as you find your way to Barnes & Noble and spend your $50 gift card on new books, Pirate Bounty, games, all sorts of stuff, whatever you like. But you're not done. You got to eat. Yeah, so you have to eat. Use your $25 American Express gift card for dinner, a cool bookmark, nifty eye patch. What better way to face your fear? Laugh, cry, and move past it with books and your imagination. All there for you. This is going to be fun.
Thank you, Andrew. The Ultimate Prize Performance Pack we are giving away at the Venetian Night Rep Party on June 30th. Again, it will be something that we will vote on. So make sure you get those videos in. Finally, Kate. Oh, wait, I forgot about this. Ha! It's new. So I forgot. There we go. We're doing this really fun race. It's a virtual Port Huron to Mackinac Island race. It's after the actual sailing race that happens every year here in Michigan. The captains can win some pretty astounding prizes. I won't go through them. You can see them there on the screen. And the way they do this is by having readers just like you attend our festival. As you can see, Captain D.A. Reed is in the lead. She just left Port Sanilac Harbor, and Captain Brent Seth is on her stern, right behind. Captain Andrew Smith and Captain Christopher Gare are making their way northbound as well. So tell your friends, tell your family that when they come to our event, when they register, they have to put in the name of the author that they would like to support in this race. You can list as many authors as you like to support. Our goal is 34 Shoreline Spectators, 34 or 36 Shoreline Spectators every night. And you can see there that so far we have a grand total of 74, and you can see the night breakouts. I update the leaderboard on our website every day by 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So check it out. Help your favorite authors reach Mackinac State Harbor. We're having fun with this. I'm giving away craziness just because I think the authors should be winning prizes too. So there we go. And then Kate, whoops, there we go. Can you do the last little bit about our Harbor Store catalog, pretty please?
power round. So you came, you showed up tonight. You are very interested, obviously, in the authors who read tonight. And even if you weren't before, you obviously are now. So what you can do is you can click on the link that I have been putting into the chat all night, and we'll continue to do so here in just a minute. All of this money goes back to the authors. Pages Promotion is not getting any kickback from this whatsoever. And also it's very easy. It's very intuitive. Why is there a spider on his head? Anyway, it's very intuitive and it's very easy to buy. I can't. Okay. It's very easy to buy these books.
Not a spider.
It's a spider on the front. I'm going to take that at face value. But anyway,
okay.
Support the authors that are here, that are reading for you. You guys are enjoying it. I am enjoying it so much. This is just honestly one of the highlights that I've been looking forward to for so long. And so go over, buy, and also leave a review. Authors need reviews. When you show up for my, Andrew, what's it called? The tongue twister?
Sailor Short School.
The Sailor Shore School?
That thing. When you show up for that, which I know you all will, I'm going to talk to you about exactly why it is so important to leave reviews for authors. It's not just enough to read their books, but it's really important to leave a review as well. So,
and as I've said before, even negative reviews are better than hearing nothing.
Yep, absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely.
100%. All right, we're going to wrap this up. Lightning round, everybody. Shots across the bow. Jacob Bullen, shots across the bow, sir.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Parting shots across the bow. Any last words?
Damn.
Nope. Okay. Xander, any parting shots across the bow, sir?
Yeah, if you want to see me look like a fool, come to www.ayakashifox.com and you can see me looking like a fool and we'll have fun. Yeah.
You're not a fool. By the way, are you going to dress in costume for the Venetian night party?
Probably not, no.
Okay.
It's 6 hours of work. I need like, you know, it's just for like I do it for like a presentation, but we're all just hanging out. Like, you know, it's like 6 hours of work to get like all dressed up and all this stuff, and then take it off for like an hour and a half.
So when we're all next summer, we're trying to move this to a from a virtual thing to a hybrid thing. So we're going to do an in-person event, God willing. We'll be able to meet in person next June, so maybe you can come in costume to that.
I will always do costumes for live events.
Awesome.
For like I always.
Okay. Shots across the bow. Shots across the bow, Brent.
What was that to me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. I think the volume's starting to cut in and out. I've got nothing but just to remind people, because we didn't get to some of the questions tonight since we had 3 readers, that there's contact information in the harbor store. So if anybody didn't get their questions answered, they can forward them that way.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. Christopher Gare, shots across the bow, sir.
Yes, I think that anytime I go to a staff meeting at work anymore, Xander needs to be reading the notes from all of management, because then it would be far more interesting and I'd pay attention.
Yes.
I like
question.
that idea.
Yeah, it's a really cool idea. Andrew, shots across the bow, sir.
I'm just impressed. It's been a good night. I enjoyed Xander's reading heavily. I enjoyed Mr. Bullen's reading very well, and I'm fascinated with both ideas of the book. So hey, it's going to be great. I'll get those down. Those will be fun.
Awesome. Okay, before we go, Jacob, hold up Logan so I can see him. I haven't seen him since he was little itty bitty. There he is! Oh my God, he's so cute. Okay. All right. So thank you everybody for coming tonight. I really appreciate everything. We're having so much fun with this. We could spend hours just hanging out and reading books. So much fun. If you know somebody who wasn't able to join us tonight, please send them the link that I'm going to post tomorrow for the replay, so that we can introduce more readers to our indie author community. Thank you everybody for coming. Hi, Logan. Everybody have a good time. Enjoy your evening and come on back tomorrow we're going to do this all over again. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Bye.